Well, everyone, welcome to another inspirational show. We have a beautiful actress, Jessica Eve Scozzola. She's an actress and business owner. She feels it's her duty to get to her artistic creativity out there in the world and help her fellow artists. Jessica, this world needs more good-hearted artists, and they need it consistently. And you need to consistently work on great projects to help this world be a better place. Can you give us a little bit of a history of who Jessica Eve Scozzola is and what found you at this time and this age that you want to do what you want to do, especially an actress?
Sure. Yeah. So, I did get a good head start on the artistic side of things ever since I was a little girl. So basically, I was totally born, artistic, right? And it's one of those things of like, it's just always been a passion, right? But, different stages, I had different stages of what art I got introduced to and loved throughout my life, right? And so early on, dancing was definitely a huge one. I was most passionate about that at the beginning of early years. And where I'm not sure if listeners are familiar with, there was dance party, it was called, back in the 80s, right? They'd have different, like get-togethers with people just dancing to music and everything on the weekends. This was in San Francisco, because I lived in San Jose, California. I was born and raised there. So it was called Dance Party. And I just had a whole bunch of fun dancing, on Saturday mornings, to all this music, like as if I was there with the crowd, right? The people on TV, and just had a blast with it. And while my dad was making, breakfast for the family and everything, and he was like, between him and my mom, right? He was, and he loved the fact that I was just having a lot of fun in life, and so my family could see that early on I was definitely a huge artist, right? And they did have me in dance classes early as a young girl too. And I did dance competitions when I was a little older too, like pre-teenage and teenage age. And, where I did national competitions with a group, I was in a girls group. And so we went to the East Coast for a couple national competitions. We didn't just compete locally, right? And so that was a lot of fun doing the dance competitions. And, but yeah, I actually was born at the Good Samaritan Hospital. So later in life, I looked at that and I was like, oh my goodness, that didn't just happen, right? I don't think things just happen. Things happen for a reason usually, right? And so I feel that it was meant for me to be born at that specific location, right? Because it like set me up, for me to consistently remember that, that I have a huge thing to uphold, being a humanitarian, care for people, be that good Samaritan, right? Do whatever I can to help people, right? And so basically, after the dancing, I got more introduced to like singing, the love for singing. But then earlier in life, I realized, okay, I need to train my voice a little bit more. I listened to some stuff I did on my 13th birthday with some friends. We went to Great America, to have fun, riding the rides and stuff in Santa Clara County at the time. And there was a thing we could do where we could record ourselves singing a song, right? And we had fun singing the song, the TLC song, the Waterfalls. Yeah. How'd you guess? So,
Been one of my favorite group.
Yeah, well, that was such an awesome song, right? And it's still very catchy to this day. It's one of those that you just want to sing to. But as a new 13-year-old trying to sing that song, yeah, nice try. I didn't have that training yet with the voice at all to be able to sing that properly, right? So if you listen to the tape, because it's back in the day when we had, the tape still, right? And I was listening to myself and I'm like, it's hilarious how I say that. And I would just laugh at myself, right? You have to kind of just have fun in life and laugh at yourself sometimes, and like in a good way, right? Don't make fun of yourself, right? That's not nice, right? But like, just don't take things so seriously. So it was actually, I would get a kick out of it. I wouldn't say to myself, oh man, I sound crappy there. No, I would just say, you know what? We got ourselves out there. We tried. That was fun. And but yeah, I enjoyed the singing front too when I was growing up, just having fun singing in the shower, things like this too, testing things out on my own, singing to my favorite singers like Christina Aguilera, Mariah Carey, and Jewel. Those were my favorite female singers when I was growing up. And so I actually, I just enjoyed singing to their music in my own time. And then later on, acting became a huge passion of mine in my early 20s in college. That's when I got the acting bug, real hardcore. I was like, wow, this is fun, because I could see that I had this innate sense of what to do to get a character, to become more real to the audience and get the audience to think outside the box on things. And I was like, I have this good talent to be able to, on my own, think in my mind of how can I create this character. But yeah, so art is communication, right? So it's getting yourself out there, communicating specific messages. So I fell in love with the aspect of acting, because I knew that with it, it was my duty to give certain communications out there and certain messages, right? And the more creativity you put into your character, it adds more value, because then you can have a lot of different audience members seeing a different viewpoint from that character you're creating, right? Because there has to be enough elements to it, that you put in there with the character, because everybody's different, right? And their viewpoint, those audience members, not everybody's the same in what they're going to get from it, right? So you want to cater to everybody that you're presenting it to, even as a musician too, right? Any artist, you have to look at, okay, who's my audience? Who am I communicating to? What message am I trying to get out there, right? And for me, all my messages that I'm trying to get out there is just, how can somebody think outside the box? How can they, go to greater heights, because a lot of people, I feel, don't know how powerful they are, and especially artists, like on the impact that they can create with one message, right? We have such a platform that we need to utilize and just get ourselves out there more. It's our duty. I feel it's my duty, but it's my duty to also help other artists to see that they need to get themselves out there so much more, right? And it's important not to let the messages that they may hear from specific people or specific newscasts or whatever, any negative stuff, they need to just steer clear from that, get away from that, and just create positivity, right? And, for me, like, I want to see artists succeed. So I, of course, encourage artists to also steer clear from drugs. A huge successful thing I personally have done is I steered clear completely from drugs. I've never done any drugs, right? And alcohol in the past, like I drank only once in a while, but I even steered clear from that. I haven't drank anything for like years, right? Just because I know what it can do to the creativity side of a person and the intellectual side of a person, right? If you want to be in a networking event, right, and you want to meet the producers you want to meet that will help you get to greater heights in your career, whether in music or as an actress, right, or actor, filmmaker, then how is that going to happen if you're like dimming your senses with a whole bunch of alcohol in your system, right? No, you need to be aware of your surroundings and see, oh, who's around? Let me think about this. And it helps you. Steering clear from that helps you perceive and be able to observe and see things for what they are, right? You're more likely to meet somebody that's more like-minded as you, that wants to create a lot of good messages and good things if your mind is clear, right? And so just a whole bunch of positivity I want to get out there, basically, any way that I can.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Jessica, you were mentioning earlier before that you like TLC and the song Waterfalls. Who was your favorite group member? Was it Lisa Left Eye Lopez, or was it Zonda Thomas, or Tia Watkins? Mine was Left Eye Lopez.
Honestly, I don't usually pick favorites and stuff, right? Because I feel it's a team activity, right? So when it comes to like a band, a group, and everything, I think they all have their capabilities, right? All their strengths and everything. I mean, in a team, you have your strengths and weaknesses, right? So hopefully in a team, whether a band or anything else, business team, or, that everybody's utilizing their strengths, right? In that team properly, right? And so I don't have a favorite. I liked them all because they all together, in a unit, helped create that good music, right? And
So
so
you're saying
I
that
think,
it's like working in a team, such as your company and business owner. You'd prefer to work alone or in a team? And it depends. I worked in a team once. We did a good job, but in the
yeah,
end, I'm thinking it was better if I worked alone. And because some people just
yeah,
don't want to work together. But that's why maybe some group members of different bands leave the
mhm,
band because of infighting.
right.
When was it, Jessica, the epiphany that you had when you wanted to not only become an actress, but you wanted to get yourself out there, all your positivity, especially you launched a new campaign to help children, young adults worldwide. Like, how do you balance acting, business, campaigning? Like, how do you keep that balance from tipping over?
Well, I don't have a whole lot of distractions in my life, I would say. That's how I keep the balance, right? Although I think everybody to a certain degree out there probably has some distractions available to them. I mean, we live on planet Earth, right? There are distractions out there, Uh, and one of them being, like I mentioned before, drugs, right? That distracts you off your path, right? Your creative path. But there can be distractions in life. Like I see like a lot of artists and people in general, I think a lot of times you can get distracted by like the wrong person that you're dating, as an example, right? You know what I mean? Like you honestly know when the person's not right for you. So why do you continue dating them, right? It's silly. It's like just date somebody who you're more like-minded with and like that you have a similar communication level, right? You don't want to date somebody that doesn't want to communicate but you really want to communicate, right? It has to be kind of, I don't believe in the whole opposites thing. It's like, no, it's eventually not going to work if somebody's crazy shy and the other person's not. One person or both are going to be miserable in the relationship eventually, right? People should be happy together, not happy, right? So basically, I don't get distracted on that. Like I stopped dating the wrong people in the past. I mean, currently I'm not dating because I'm waiting for that right person that I feel I met not too long ago, but we're not dating yet. I met somebody on like late February, right? He knows who he is because I told him I was interested, but we'll see, balls in his court, but basically I don't settle for less. I want to be with the right person for me. And I know who that is, a high caliber artist, like who's doing big projects, all over the world, and a high caliber humanitarian. I'm not going to settle for less, right? Because I know my capabilities and I know together we could be a huge power couple, right? And like help that many more millions of people out there because of my help that I give, to the relationship and the help he gives to the relationship, right? So I'm looking forward to that future. I'm like, okay, we haven't dated yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And but it's not a distraction to me. It just fuels me because I know it's right? I know that's who I want to be with and that's it. Like I feel a lot of people, they're just way too distracted on that. They're too worried about who am I going to be with? Why am I single? Da, da, da. Don't worry about that. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? It's a timing thing usually, right? You just grow as an individual, keep getting yourself out there artistically, just learn more about yourself, right? Don't get stuck into this whole like thinking you're not good enough just because you're not with somebody at this moment. It's like, dude, take that time to learn more and grow, right? So I would say the distractions point, I try my best to, just keep on it. And you have to kind of find what are your strengths really and look at that and decipher, okay, great. These are my strengths. These are weaknesses. You know what I mean? If you notice weak points, you probably do need to add to your team and have a team member you can trust that you work well with, right? That can help you with those weak points that you have to strengthen your overall like business or, what you're trying to create in general, right? But on the distractions thing, it could be like also working a job that's not at all artistic, but you're an artist. So it's kind of squashing you, making you less as an artist because day to day you're doing something that's not artistic, right? So how does that help you really grow as an artistic individual, right? So for me, I kind of just started looking over life and the importances of, what is my duty? What do I need to do? Why am I here? Right? What effects do I need to create out there? Right? And happiness, happiness, I feel, true happiness is when you're moving towards your goals, right? So a person has to really sort out what are their goals. Sometimes that can happen, take a while to sort out, right? What are their goals and purposes in life? What is really important? Why do they want to do those specific things, right? A lot of times a person will go through life being told by other people, family members, friends, acquaintances, teachers, whatever, you name it, right? Saying, oh, you should be doing this with your life. You should be doing that with your life, right? But I think we've known ever since we were little kids, honestly, on what we should really be doing in our life, right? It's like you have to know internally what that is for you, right?
But I totally agree with what you're saying. But every day is a new adventure. And for you specifically, Jessica, you have to balance out acting, being a business owner, and anything dealing with, like, if you had a friend who was an alcoholic, or you had a friend that was suicidal, you would always be there to help them through. And that's excellent. That's what you need.
I realized too, and that's why I wanted to start my supplement brand, right? And get into the health market, because I wanted to encourage people to not have to resort to medications and drugs as the first solution, supposedly, right? I'm like, no, take a look at what maybe you're lacking with the body that you need improvement on, right? Don't add to the problem, get rid of the problem. See if you can get rid of it more naturally, right? By way of exercise and the right diet for you. It's about, don't deprive yourself of what the body needs, because what does the body really need, right? It needs good nutrition, right? Good nutrients. And nowadays, the soil's terrible in comparison to decades ago. Decades ago, it had way more nutrients, in the soils, right? So what, one orange right now, would, be equal, or sorry, one orange from back in the day, in the 50s, would equal to so many more oranges nowadays, right? Because the soil's majorly depleted in comparison to how it was in the past, right? Many decades ago. So that's also a reason why a lot of people need extra supplements too.
When you receive a script, how do you approach the part?
Yeah, well, I first have to be passionate about it, right? I have to believe in it. So like what I was mentioning about the commercial thing, I'm not going to, even if I'm going to get paid thousands of dollars to do a commercial, if I audition and I, get the part, I don't want to even go the audition route and even bother with it if I'm not passionate about it, right? So if it says right away, that, oh, you're going to be promoting that, right? Like I said, on the medication stuff, drug stuff, then I'm like, yeah, no thanks. Next, I don't even bother, because integrity wise, I can't do it, And so I have to believe in it. It has to align with my purposes in life. And will it push the positive messages and the messages I believe, basically, right? I feel artists need to just not compromise with their personal integrity, right? It has to be true to them. They can't be, and a lot of times sometimes, oh, money, there's the idea of, oh yeah, actually they're telling me I'm going to make a whole bunch more doing this, so I guess I better just do it because I need the money, right? And it's like, no, your personal integrity comes first. Just do what you're passionate about and keep your integrity in, right? Eventually, money will follow. Eventually, if you're helping people with what your actions are, and you're doing right by people, right? And your art and all of that, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, right? And but yeah, on the script front, so yeah, that's number one. I have to believe in it and keep my integrity in on it. And then of course, I'll be looking at, okay, I have to look at the other characters, not just my role that I would be playing, right? And take a look at how it all connects with one another and kind of what's my perspective on how they're reacting to me as that character, right? I have to decipher a little bit of everything. And then, if I officially have the part, then I would first, I would get down the lines real good, right? But also think with the character while I'm getting down the lines. I never not think with, what am I going to present here as this character, right? For me, I actually learned some new things. I've grown a lot as an artist since I started in the acting in my early 20s, right? I've grown a lot. And in very recent months, I've realized a huge thing. You can go to an acting class, right? With the best teacher ever, and you'll get a lot of benefits from that. However, nothing beats real life. Nothing beats real life interaction with people and learning from the right people to help you as an artist, right? And a lot of things that may be lacking is, artists not going out there and meeting people that they're going to portray, on stage, right? If you're going to portray somebody on stage that, I'm going to be this rocker, I'm going to rock out and things like this, but you never in real life see rockers, going at it and stuff, playing their stuff, in real life, not just on videos and, virtually and stuff. It's just a totally new experience. Like, you learn that much more when you see people in person and you can talk to them, and kind of communicate with them and, get some ideas from them, or like, how did they get to the stage they're at, right? It's all about communication, getting yourself out there, learning more. You learn way more about yourself artistically and just as a human being by communicating more to other people, right? But as an actress, I was looking at it and I was like, I need even more real life experiences. If I want to play an EMT or firefighter, a cop, detective, I need to go out there and meet them personally, right? And get in a conversation when they're allowed to, when I'm able to, right? Yes. Not when they're obviously,
Finally, an actor knows what she's doing.
Right? I mean, I know that that's what actors that are on regular TV series and, in these films, A-list films, obviously they do that, right? They prepare for the role.
I know that Mariska Hargitay and those that were part of the CSI Miami and those who were part of all these other cop shows. I know definitely that CSI Miami, I know David Caruso and the whole team, they had police and cops and lawyers and judges and they consulted everyone to make it as real as possible. And I'm pretty sure Mariska Hargitay for SVU, they probably have a lot of real. That's why it's been on for over almost 25 years.
They have to portray the realness, right? Otherwise, it would lose the audience, right?
If you were given the opportunity to be an EMT on transplant, for instance, or somebody offered you your own show, and you were going to be the main doctor of this hospital, let's say it was at the hospital that you were born at. Okay, so you're the main department head of that hospital, and a lot of problems happen around you. Would you literally go to that hospital and seek out an actual department head and find out what they do in order to get the part? Or would you say, I'm department head. Okay, I do this, I do that. So you would literally seek out an actual department head.
I mean, if I had the ability to be able to go to location, because I think I would go for sure. I think part of the issue is that the actors, actresses that are starting out, they don't necessarily have, and the production maybe they got a part for, they may not have the funds to be able to help send you just wherever to learn what you need to learn, right? So you have to then do it from home maybe or something, right? But say, I'm in Los Angeles right now, so I could easily just go to many different locations in Los Angeles alone, right? To like learn. So I don't have to have money be a stop. You can always get around something that seems to be a barrier, right? You can, okay, well, I can't go to Europe right now. Don't have the funds for that. The production can't pay for me to go to Europe to go to this specific location that would be preferable to go to because has a European, storyline behind it, right? As an example or something. But you can find the next best thing that is within that budget, right? Just think outside the box. Where do I go in Los Angeles then, or closer to Los Angeles to learn about these individuals that I will be portraying, right? Me and the fellow actors, actresses in that TV show or film, right? So, but I mean, that's one huge thing that I feel, by mentioning that it will help actors, actresses. It's like, we can't just be consumed by only like, let's just do virtual forevermore. Just do it all virtually, right? It's like, there's nothing that beats actual live interaction with people that are doing it themselves. You can see them in action. I mean, there are ride-alongs that does exist with cops and stuff, right? Obviously, they're not going to let you go out in the action if there's something really hardcore going on. They're going to be like, stay in the car, like how Blue Bloods portrays it on the TV show, right? However, I mentioned that as an example because I actually do like those shows a lot. I like seeing the cop shows, EMTs, firefighters, anything regarding that. Like I love The Rookie. I like that show a lot. And also The Rookie Feds. I like that one also. Blue Bloods. I'm trying to think. What am I missing?
But yeah, I have with Mariska.
Yeah, I just love those types of TV shows because I feel that EMTs, firefighters, cops don't get enough credit sometimes, right? With regards to all that they do on the day to day, and firefighters, all of them, they need to definitely get more recognition for what they do. When I do see cops around, EMTs, firefighters, I make a point to say thank you for what you do. Like,
But
it makes their day. It makes their day.
there's some parts that you may ask to do that you're like, I want to be this person. I want to be this character. But like
Yeah.
Meatloaf said, I do anything for love, but I won't do that. So you'll be like, I won't do that. So, you know what I mean? What's your thought on that?
Yeah. On that, well, I would just say you have to just do your best to use your creativity, your imagination on things, right? For me, I recommend definitely for actors, actresses not to get into this like, oh, let me look from my past on. There's a lot of information that's spread about that the way to act properly is to look at your own past and your past traumas and things like this, right? That's not going to help you artistically because you're stirring up your own stuff from the past, right? That's not, as an artist, you have to think forward. You have to create. What is create? You have to be in the now and move forward with things, right? Not be stuck in the past. The more stuck in the past you are, that's going to prevent you from being able to put more creativity out there, right? So where you see artists that aren't putting enough creativity out there, not enough communication, they are stuck a little bit more in the past, right? So by you encouraging an artist to say, hey, create this character by being stuck in your past and looking at your past traumas, how is that going to help them move forward, really? It's only going to stir things up. Like, as an example, Heath Ledger and what happened to him, right? How he passed. Like, I'm a firm believer that what happened to him was he got way too into the, like, being stuck in the past on things, with regards to whatever, and it, like, stirred too much up in his mind about whatever, something happened there, right? Where he was so into that character. He played a damn good Joker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, whoa, but it was definitely very dark though, right? Because there is that dark side to Joker big time, right? So when you're playing a dark character or a negative character, evil character, however you want to communicate it, right? You have to make sure that you're not like looking at the past, traumas that you might have had with regards to somebody being evil towards you. Maybe you're trying to think, oh, let me look at that time that person was totally an a-hole to me, or that person, he or she, whatever, was like abusing me, or whatever may have happened to a person, right? Don't be looking at the past to try to create this like character in the present, right? You have to just kind of take it from your imagination, right? And just, I don't know how else to communicate it, but I know it can get a little tricky. A person might think they do have to grab things from the past, but not really. If you do your research. I've heard some people actually go to the jail system to talk to criminals, to talk to specific people. How did they even get there? Like, it goes back to the realness. Like, you have to communicate to people that are in that situation, right? Obviously be safe with it. You're not going to do it like, just on the street. You're like, oh, let me talk to this drug dealer, no, by yourself. Yeah, no, don't do that, please,
It would be okay, Jessica, here's the part for you. You're going to play whatever. And the whole show is taken in a jail cell. I'm pretty sure they'll probably get you to meet those who were in jail, who are free and doing something else, to help you through that part. Or there might be some way of getting you into the jail system to talk to criminals and find out but is it the same playing a criminal than being a criminal? Well, I don't know what it's like to be in jail. So I would probably think that you, as a prisoner in a jail cell, doing whatever you're doing as the character in the acting show, I would love it. I would just think this is great. But you probably have some people out there who were in jail who are now free, probably looking and say, oh, what is this crap? That didn't happen.
Right.
Or look at this girl, she's doing this. It didn't happen. In jail, you don't do this, you can't do, I can't, like on YouTube, they have something called Breakdown, and they have movie scenes of like mobsters doing their thing and doctors, whatever, and you would actually have a real life doctor, a real life mobster, whatever, critiquing and said, "Oh, you know what? Look, you know." So stuff like
And
that.
that's
Sorry.
where it can get a little tricky too, because say if the TV series or the film is based in a specific location in the world, right? You need to portray kind of what would be happening in that area of the world, right? So you have to think with that culture, you know, what's happening in that specific city or what was happening at that time. You have to do your research if it's like based on history, right? And you're trying to portray true facts. You know, you can't leave things out, right? And a lot of things are left out when, you know, in your school system, in the school system, they leave out a lot with regards to history, like in the sense of, as an example, that film Hidden Figures, right? A lot of what was gone over in that film was not taught in the school systems, you know, on how we got man to the moon, you know, in the United States, right? How that happened. It's like, oh my goodness. I definitely recommend people to check that film out if they haven't, right? I just, to this day, even though it was years ago when it was released, to this day, I love that film a lot because of the truth that it was told, you know, that was told. Like, I personally really am turned on by stories that just spread truth, right? I'm all about that because I feel that anything that's false will steer somebody off their path, right? You know, so like artists as an example, if they're off their path, it's probably because they were there was some hidden information behind the scenes fed to them about like that they shouldn't be on that route. Everybody has the ability to become better as an artist too. Even if at that time there was any truth of maybe you could have perfected your art, so what? Nobody's perfect, right? Even A-listers, you know, consistently learn. They're consistently learning new things, right? Producers as well. Even though that if you're a producer for A-list projects, there's consistent learning still, right? So no matter where you're at, whether at the bottom or the top, right? You know, you shouldn't view it as, you know everything. Nobody knows everything. There's always more to learn, right? And
I totally agree with you. Tell us a little bit about Finite, Betrayal, House of Karma, and Paradiso Travel. It says that you were part in the casting department. What exactly was your job in those films?
With Finite Betrayal, that was just that was a short film. I helped briefly on the sound aspect of things because I'm very good at, I have this innate talent to be able to see something and know if it matches with what I'm hearing, right? And knowing what the audience will like or not like, and if it matches for them too. I'm just very good at knowing that. I'm very intuitive in that sense, you know? So basically, I was helping the editor at the time. There were a couple editors on it, and one of them I was helping. He was getting my viewpoint, and I gave my feedback. I was like, so I assisted, and I told him that specific spot needs to be corrected because if you keep that sound, that scene where there's action happening, right, and some mystery, somebody's going to be thinking based on that sound that it's like a funeral scene instead. Like it totally sounded like a funeral scene, right? And I was like, you know, so I just said that, and he literally was like, you're totally right, and changed it, right? It's so interesting how sometimes, like, see, it goes back to needing the right team, right? So you have the right people on your team, they'll be upfront with you and they'll say in a very nice manner, you know, and be very upfront about it and say, okay, this needs to be changed because of X, Y, and Z. And we need to make sure the audience understands it and doesn't get confused from the communication at all, right? So it has to match up, right, with what you're seeing and what you're hearing. So I helped on that front for that film. And then when it came to, I say it kind of in Spanish, right? It was a Colombian soap opera that was being filmed mainly in Colombia, but when I was living in New York City area, they were filming a little bit in that area. So I had the privilege to, you know, I was originally just going to be background actress, but then they bumped me up, you know, and they mic'd me and everything. And so they had me just say some off the cuff lines. Yeah. And it was a scene where one of the main characters was there, right? You know, and so I was in the scene with one of the main characters of the soap opera, and you know, so I just did my lines and had fun with it. I was so comfortable with it, like it was like as if they fed me the lines already, but no, I just went with it. It was easy, it was cool, it was fun, and also what was I gonna say? The other one you were mentioning. What was? Sorry, I didn't say the name. Paraíso Travel.
Karma, Paradiso Travel. Yeah.
that right? Paraíso travel. So, but yeah, on House of Karma, I was a production assistant for that one, as well as I played a homeless character. So we were at a soup kitchen, and I was one of the homeless. And it'll be released later. Can't give away the storyline or anything, because it's going to be released later this year, feature film. So yeah, I don't even have the clips. I don't have my reel for that, those clips yet, because the directors want to make sure that they don't release it too early. They want to just wait till the film comes out, right? They're like, I'm looking for a SAG franchised agent right now, specifically because I have the goal very soon in the very near future to be SAG, right? So why would I go with an agency that, isn't SAG franchise? The whole point of SAG franchise is they want people to think, that they're going to become SAG very soon. And that's what they're going to be. They're going to be doing it full time, basically, right? So there's differences in agencies, right? There's the non-SAG franchised and there's the SAG franchised. And so if you are a SAG member, union member, then you do need to be with a SAG franchised agency, in the United States, right? So I want to put that goal there of I'm going to be SAG very, very soon, little later this year. So of course I'm going to be represented by a SAG franchised agency, right? So that's the reason why I'm going with that. And that's why I'm seeking that at this moment. So, and plus I want to do it full time. I'm I deliberately have my schedule set up to be able to do whatever I need to do. If I need to go somewhere, I can go somewhere. Hey, if you need to send me somewhere, I'm there. If I need to go to Europe for a project, I'm there. I will not complain. If you're going to fly me out to Europe for a project, I'll love that.
I noticed that in The Advocate, La Santera, and Sortie Revenge Plan, you were a production assistant. What exactly assistant does, but what was your job?
Yeah. I mean, in some case scenarios, I did get the production assistant credit, but however, in some scenarios, it kind of was a little bit more than that. I think sometimes production assistants don't get the credit they deserve in some case scenarios because they could be doing an awful lot more where they basically were the assistant to the producer or something, right? So they should have a higher title sometimes in some case scenarios, because production assistant is kind of an expediter, if you want to call it that, somebody that's going to help speed up the process, get distractions off, right? And just help with whatever's needed to keep the production going at a pace that it should, so you don't lose money, right? So you don't need to now we need to pay for another day at this location because we didn't have the production assistant or that person to help with that. There's other people on the production that also help get there's of course, the ADs and everything, assistant directors that help too with time and everything, making sure that things are moving along, right? But it again goes to the team, right? You need the team to make things go smooth. If you have the right team members, things will go smoother. If everybody's aligned with the same purpose, right? They want that production to go really well. They want that film to be a success. They want that TV series to be a success, that specific episode and everything, right? It's all about who you're working with that matters. Because if you have one bad apple that's trying behind the scenes to backstab the rest, right? Or create trouble, then it's not going to go very smooth, right? So it's very, very important to make sure you're working with the right people, like-minded people, right? And that really want the same message to be communicated and so on, right? But as a production assistant, though, I did, I helped on a lot of fronts, I did help with the driving aspect, driving people so that they could be on set to do their duties, where if I didn't get them there, then a lot would have fallen apart. I helped get last minute extras that were needed, whether they were paid or not paid, a lot of artists will do paid work, non-paid work, it's just, they just want to get themselves out there. They'll do it because they have the love for the art and they want more credits behind their names. But yeah, I'm very good at last minute problem solving, basically. I love that aspect of the production side. So I know that one of these days after I become, famous actress, that's the first huge goal of mine. I also want to be well known as a famous producer too, because I think that there needs to be more of that woman element, that strong woman element. We need to keep that flow going with regards to more, women having those like really awesome characters where they portray really strong women, right? You know, or they can kick some butt or they're just really strong, because women are very strong. And where would men be without women? Seriously.
I saw that video of you standing on that carpet and one of these actresses or whatever interrupted you. What was going through your mind on that?
Yeah, good question. I just couldn't help but laugh it off, kind of, you know, in my mind. I was laughing it off, and just now I'm laughing. Yeah, it was at LA Live. I was on a red carpet and being interviewed, and this lady, I noticed she was interviewed previously already, right? She went on the red carpet again to be re-interviewed, right? And she happened to she happened to interrupt my interview to be interviewed a second time. So I just find it very funny, to be honest, you know, in the sense of, when I say funny, I mean interesting. Like, you wouldn't expect that to happen, right? But it does happen. There are some individuals out there that want fame for the wrong reasons. There are other people out there that want fame for the right reasons, right? And for me, my hope is that anybody who has fame and gets to become famous are very well-intentioned, good-hearted people, right? That want others to succeed too, right? I love it when I see or hear, observe like A-listers that get up there, hard-hitting producers that are up there in the industry, right? Where they're speaking about how they have love for mankind, how they have love for everybody else, right? That it's not just about them. You can see this selflessness, right? About how they operate in life. And I just love that. I love hearing actors, actresses that, you know, that are more well-known, and they're going all over the world. They're out there in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? They're out there. They're like, okay, they're not just behind the scenes. Here's some money. Here you go. Right? It's like, no. Like, for me, as an example, I don't want to be one of those people where I'm like, okay, now I have millions of dollars. Here you go. Here's some money, and that's it. Right? No, to me, that's not my responsibility.
I'll be knocking your door and say, hey, Jessica, remember me?
My responsibility level is to get others into action too, right? Do whatever I can do to get others in more action, right? I'd be more in action. I'd be all over right now. If I had millions right now, I'd be all over the world, helping all over, you know, like on the humanitarian front, artistically, right? That's my goal. That's my dream in the very near future. Like, I'm dedicated on this goal of like, no, I'm making this happen. Whatever I need to do to just not have money be an issue at all, and just like, all right, good. I have the capability to go wherever I need to go to help people, you know, help mankind on a broad scale, and also artistically. I want to set the example, basically. And I don't feel it's great that, you know, you want to support, you know, good nonprofits and stuff with your money and things like this, right? You know, but however, getting out there and actually showing the world that you're getting out there in the trenches, I feel speaks more volumes, right? Because then it will help create others to look at that too and be like, you know what, actually there's like this rollover effect that it would create. So then others will also be looking at, yeah, you're right. It shouldn't just be about just giving the money away, right? And that's it. It should be about going out there and showing that you're in touch with humanity that much more, right? And getting others to see that will help them get more in action and make them also realize their capabilities, right? Because everybody starts from square one, right? I love seeing the stories, hearing these stories about where somebody was and now where they are. It gives people hope, right? And knows that, you know what, I can actually change conditions here. I can actually get to that point where I want to be. It's just a point of gotta go step by step and, you know, keep moving in that direction, take action, right? Like, I love, as an example, Sylvester Stallone's story on where he was. I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe that. That was a wild story, how he, like, just to get by, he sold his dog, right? You know, that story, living in his car. And then he created Rocky. He created that script. He wrote that himself, and he didn't settle for less. He didn't compromise with his personal integrity, right? He kept at it. He didn't sell, even though he was, you know, he was in that situation of like not enough money at that time. He didn't settle. He wasn't like, oh, okay, I'll sell this to you for a small amount of money, right? He said, if you want this script, you're going to give me what is, what it's really worth, right? And I'm going to play Rocky. Like, he wouldn't settle, right? Certain people wanted to just buy it from him and not have him play the character, right? But he was like, no, he was very insistent upon, staying on that personal integrity path, right? And he knew his worth. And so he was like, even though I'm in this situation, I know my worth and I'm going to play Rocky. And then, seriously, like, who the heck would have played Rocky better than him? You know what I mean? Like, I could not see anybody play Rocky, right, other than him. So he did the right thing in that moment to not compromise. He knew his worth, and he showed the world his worth, right, with regards to what he brought to that character. And it's just inspiring, right, because he was in that situation, and now where is he, right? So it goes to show you that no matter where you're at, whether, you're living in a very poor circumstance, right? Like, not barely any money, really struggling, or you have a little bit of money, or you're getting by just fine. But, there's always different tiers. You can always, reach higher heights, right? And so those stories kind of get people looking at, their own life and looking at, what do I need to change about my life here, right? I've been inspired by artists big time that are like all the way up there in the industry, right? And Jennifer Garner, as an example, she's inspired me because I really loved her in Alias. I thought she did an amazing job with that. I was very surprised because, the earlier roles she had didn't do her justice at all, because she's an extreme talent, right? With regards to Alias, that did her justice. It showed her acting chops big time, right? I was like, whoa, she's a really good actress. So it inspired me, though, because it was one of those really strong woman characters too that she played, right? I was like, man, she kicks ass, and she's also like feminine and, sexy in a classy way too, and everything. And I was like, there's all these cool elements to her character. I just really liked it, and she did such a great job portraying it. So yeah, that's just one example. But Blake Lively's an individual that, inspires me when it comes to the humanitarian aspect, because I've seen her speak about things she really truly believes in, and she gets her voice out there, right, with regards to things that need to change, with, helping children on a broad scale. If there's things happening like human trafficking issues, things like this or whatever, she'll speak out about things, right, and get it out there. So she's using her platform for good, which I really, I respect that highly. Or Angelina Jolie, how she's helped, all around the world, not just with adopting kids from other areas, right? That in itself sets a good example for people to look at. Maybe I should be helping elsewhere too, not just in the United States, right? There's a lot of people out there in the world that need our help, but she's out there in the trenches, right? So I'm like, I need to set that example. I cannot wait. I want to get out there. So yeah.
Can you tell us about that's excellent? I really appreciate you sharing that story with us. When you came up with Sylvester Stallone and his life, I'm thinking of Keanu Reeves and what he went through, and this guy's a humble guy. Like, he'll ride the subway, and he's just amazing. I wish every actor and actress was like that, but many of them, it's like the whole issue with Christian Bale, and someone like walked past him, a light man or something like that, and he was yelling at him and everything. And like, you can't treat people like that. I mean,
No.
look where you were. Like, even in the Darman series, they always say, look where you have been, look where you are now. Never look down on a janitor because he might be your boss one day,
Oh yeah. No, I know what you mean on that. Well, one thing I wanted to mention before, say the next thing, is that also you have to look at the source on what's communicating that story too, right? In a lot of case scenarios, the source might be altering it, or there's sensationalism tied to that source just wants to stir up conflict, right? So you have to take a look at, is this even factual, right? So in a lot of case scenarios, you might see a clip, right? And it shows one little thing, but you don't know the earlier stuff that happened before that. How do you know? Maybe they reacted because 10 things that were really not cool happened to that person. Like, maybe, a whole bunch of weird stuff happened to them, and then they finally got a little upset, right? It's like, but then you just see the clip of the person getting upset, and you think they're an a-hole. It's like, no, but did you see the 10 things that happened before that? No, you didn't, right? So like, in a lot of case scenarios, you can't judge off of one little clip, right? Because there's some missing information there, right? So somebody unfortunately might be, mentioned as if somebody is like rude or this and that, but I don't think anybody's perfect, honestly, but there's a difference between rudeness versus being passionate about something too, right? Sometimes when a person gets loud, I feel that in some case scenarios, they're being loud because they're damn passionate about whatever they're talking about or whatever just happened. So if somebody's being rude to you, right, and not treating you like a very awesome human being that you are, then in some case scenarios, the right emotion to have back would be to say something about it, like, hey, this is not cool, right? You can't just ignore it and be like, oh yeah. And yeah, don't give in to hate. Definitely don't, right? But however, you can communicate it in a way and confront them on it though, right? And say that how that's not cool, or like, a lot of case scenarios wanting to if you want to make somebody look bad or something, like there was somebody on my social media that wanted to, that put a hate comment, So I just confronted it nicely and said, hey, it's too bad that you think that, that you have to knock somebody that's happy in life and doing well in life, right? It's sorry to something along those lines, right? And they didn't say anything back, but, just to let them know that like, hey, you can't do that to me. Like, I'm not going to go the effect of your negativity here. You know what I'm saying? I know you were trying to get that negative reaction. You wanted me to blow up and get pissy or whatever. Not happening, right? It's like, it's all good, haters. Come try to hate on me. You know what I mean? I know the intention is to try to stop me, but you're not going to stop me. Sorry. Like, hey, but if you hate on me, then that means you're not hating on another person that maybe can't handle that, right? So like, by all means, hate on me, because I don't want you hating on people that can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? Because I want everybody that's good-hearted to do well in life, right? So if at that moment they're more on the fragile side and they need to live life a little bit more to become even stronger and stuff and not let that affect them, then I'd rather somebody come my way instead of, attack somebody that like they're going to follow the effect and go off their artistic path because they were attacked by that person, right? Like I'm good with taking some bullets or whatever you want to say, like when it comes to, if that makes sense, like for the team, because I feel I'm a leader when it comes to the artistic world. I want to set that example, set the pace for other artists. I want to do my damnedest to help make sure artists stay on their path, basically, whatever that is. And I know I'm a strong being, right? And I can handle a lot. And I'm not going to in the past years ago, maybe, yeah, because I didn't live enough life. Maybe, many years back, I would have gone the effect to a certain degree, right? From like haters' comments or something, right? But now where I'm at, I'm like, hey, bring it. It's all good. It just fuels things for me, right? It makes me move forward even more. And that's what I need to do, move forward and create more, right? And so I would always encourage, artists in general to just do their best to just keep learning, keep growing, because that will only make you stronger, to not be stopped by haters, right? Not be stopped by any naysayers or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at this woman by the name of Madeline. Her name is Madeline Bailey. And she's a singer-songwriter. And what she did is she created a song using only hate comments. So she got a lot of them. And when I was singing with people online from all around the world, I got some hate comments. I screenshotted them and like that. So you're going to get hate comments. You're going to get people who say, don't give up your day job. But someone I know that I respect, when I told them that I wanted to one day have Sting on my podcast, he said, oh, you know what? You're never going to get Sting. You might as well just pack up everything and end your podcast and don't do it again. That's what he said, because you'll never get Sting. Really? Thanks. I appreciate that. That's one big hate comment coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
All
you can do is let that fuel you to get Sting on, right? Like one time as an example, I know it's not like necessarily on the artistic path, but I'll give you an intriguing example, right? That you can think with artistically still in a way though. When I was in college, you have to do PE, right, for credits and stuff. I was in PE class for basketball, right? And there was somebody, there was a guy that was a total bully to everybody, right? Pretty much, like maybe like half or 3/4 of like everybody in the, both teams and stuff. He would just be a bully to both sides, right? And teach him a lesson. and I don't even do this, I'm not a physical person in the sense of like, I won't push anybody and stuff. Right. But I know for some reason it just came out. I pushed him. I was like, cause he was completely, just slightly, not like huge or whatever. Right. I just like, but he needed that push to kind of like knock some sense into him that he shouldn't be doing that. Right. Don't worry, I didn't hurt him. You know what I mean? It was literally just a little push anyways, but I pushed him to say, hey, not cool, basically, right? Because words weren't doing anything, right? He needed that little push to say, hey, to kind of knock some sense in him, like I said. So anyway, after he got the little push from me, he said to me, oh, you have to do that because you're a girl, huh? Or you can't play basketball and stuff, right? He was trying to knock me on how I didn't, now I was a target because I was trying to put his ethics in, right? And I was trying to handle the fact that he's being mean to everybody else, right? Or like half or 3/4 of the teams and stuff. I was trying to just help get him to knock that off because he was trying to bring everybody down, right? And so after he said that, it fueled me to to just do better, right? I was like, oh, I'm a girl and I can't play basketball with you because you're a guy. All right. So what I end up doing right after that is I got a 3-pointer. Yeah, I was like, I can't play, huh? All right. No, I played basketball and sports with guys in the neighborhood when I was growing up, because I wanted that challenge. I didn't want to just play with girls. No, I mean, I didn't mind playing with girls, but at the same time, I wanted the challenge because, I mean, of course, guys with, more strength, muscles and stuff, right? And whatever, like, and being taller in some case scenarios like that versus girls, it can be a challenge sometimes to go up against them and play with them, right? With sports, right? So I just wanted to get better. So I was like, what better way to get better than to play with people that know how to play and are good at it, right? So yeah, I just like challenge myself. There are obviously, really awesome female athletes out there so obviously a lot of females know what to do, when it comes to athletics, and but when growing up as a young adult though, right, who are you going to play with, guys or girls, if you want to challenge yourself? If you're female, I mean, guys, right, logically, a little bit. So basically, yeah. But anyway, that's just an example of like, don't get pushed around. Don't let others push others around. You know what I'm saying? You should do something about it in a nice manner though. See, like I said, I lightly pushed him. I wasn't getting into this like full on fight. I wouldn't do that. Right. Cause I'm a very kind person, but if somebody is being mean to a lot of people, if you don't do something about that, right, then that's going to be on you and you're going to feel bad about that, right? You don't want, and again, remember going back to don't be stuck in the past because you need to create artistically and move forward. So you got to just like take a look at your surroundings and be responsible for your surroundings, right? If you see, like for me as an example, if I see in the subway, if I see something on the stairs that some people could slip on, right, and fall over and injure themselves, right, I make a point to move it over or put in the trash or whatever, right? I do something about it so that if I have an instinct about me that somebody's going to get harmed from that, so I need to do something about it, right? So I encourage others to do that too, see where they can help, everything matters, right? Even little things, you'd be surprised. One little thing is a big thing to somebody else. Like at that moment, you might think, oh, moving that aside is not a big deal. That's barely any kind of help that I'm giving anybody. But you might have saved like a few people from falling over. You never know. You might have helped like a couple old ladies not to fall over or whatever. And like, that's huge, right? So you help their family. There's a rollover effect. You help one person, that helps 10 people or 100 people. You help those 10 people and 100 people. You now help 1,000 people, right? Like, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Do you usually try to get along with all those that you work with in the acting field? And if you don't, how do you deal with it? How do you manage it so it becomes more relaxing for you, even though you have a bad egg there?
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, good question. I think with any group, there's going to be bad apples in any group, right? That will come in and try to create trouble for the ones that, aren't going to create trouble, right? So basically, so then those who have the well intentions and want to create, good things in that group, just have to just, make sure that they're not following the effect of the bad apples, right? It's just a point of not stopping your flow because of that, right? If that does enter into the group, you have to keep your create, right? How you can counter any of the negative or the opposite, you have to just keep moving forward and create, right? Basically for me, I just came to the conclusion of, and started confronting basically not everybody's like me, in the sense of, when you're a really kind person and you want to give back, you have a humongous heart. It's important for you to realize that not everybody out there, not 100% of people on this planet, have that same capacity to love, right? That's why when people are in relationships together, it may not work because one person has a huge capacity to love while the other person doesn't have as much, right? Like you have to be with somebody that has the same capacity to love. That's why before we were talking about opposites and all that, right? Now the guy I'm interested in that I want to be with I see as very compassionate and loving, and matches up with the, huge degree of love I have. I was even told by a friend of mine years ago, she was saying, you need to let that love out. Like she could see I had this huge, huge heart, but she could see I was like not letting it out enough. Right. I'm like, well, you know what? Now the time is now for me. I'm ready to let it go, like in the sense of, okay, I need to get all over the world, help on a huge front, humanitarian wise and artistic wise. That's how I'm going to be able to let that love out, right? Being able to do what I love and help so many millions upon millions of people out there, right? So yeah, it's true. Like it's not even just me. A lot of artists have that capability to get themselves out there, helping impact millions upon millions of people, right? And a lot of artists tend to have a lot of just huge heart, right? And they're limiting it, thinking that they don't have that capability to actually impact broadly, right? And I don't know, I encourage artists to just do their best to let that love out. There's nothing wrong with it. Like we're taught, I feel, as adults that, be serious about life, stay serious, it's not good to hug anymore. Don't do what you did when you were a kid, show that affection. You know what I'm saying? Like society kind of, sometimes there's a lot of these weird hidden messages to discourage adults from still showing that love and still having that awesome like spirit about you that you had when you were a kid, right? Were kids limited usually on the like love they would express? Not usually, right? They're in the sense of like they could just, have fun, do what they wanted to do, especially if they had understanding parents and people around them, right? Wouldn't really tell them to not, love. Parents, a lot of parents would encourage like, hey, let's hug. At least mine did, saying it's okay to express that you love each other, and hugging each other's fine. I know I guess every culture is different. Every family's different, but I see this trend though, where like you reach adulthood and all of a sudden certain things are taboo that shouldn't be taboo. Why is it taboo to be happy? Why is it taboo to like laugh a lot? Why is it taboo to, just have that kid spirit in you? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that should ever go away, right? If you're an adult and you want to have fun going through the sprinklers, you should be able to. You should be able to just, if you feel like it, go. You shouldn't have to have kids in order to prove that now you have a kid in you again, right? It's like, no, just, it should be, you should be able to just be you, and people shouldn't on the other end think that that's weird. Huge thing on why I went the humanitarian route. Decades ago, I saw these issues of like, if somebody was extremely happy and expressing that happiness, there being a lot of communication, like as if they're crazy because they're so happy. It's like, really? What kind of a world do we live in if it's deemed as it's crazy to be so damn happy? Like that just seems a little odd to me, right? Shouldn't it be the opposite? If we're too serious, isn't that a red flag? Shouldn't we, so it's just a point of, again, creating in the now and the future and go full force, right, on things, our goals, because happiness comes from bit by bit achieving your goals, one step at a time, and then getting to those bigger and bigger goals, right, and continuing on. and sorting that out and stuff, right?
I totally agree with you, Jessica. What sort of role would you like to see yourself playing in the next 5 years, I guess?
Like artistically or humanitarian wise or both, or?
Like, what type of character would you like to tackle?
Okay. Um, Anything like strong woman characters, like, like I said, like I really like the Alias, right? Or when it comes to storylines, like, CIA related storylines, I like that, anything where woman's kicking butt, like I was talking to a friend that does stunts and stuff, and she consistently is, in training for, a whole bunch of things, right? When it comes to that. And her goal is similar to mine, we're like kindred spirits, in the sense of, she's all about I want those roles, where I'm just a strong woman character because, we're strong women, right? And ourselves. So we want to kind of put that out there on the message, and anything just that I like a lot, like I said, I really appreciate what EMTs do in real life, firefighters, cops, detectives. So anything along those lines, right? I definitely like those characters a lot. Any character that would kind of communicate, very important message, right? Playing a character that gets people looking at things like maybe that I want everybody to take a look at, like maybe that they're more capable than they may realize, just anything that will get any of the belief structures, like more beautiful communication out there, basically. I'm not very limited. I feel I can play a lot of characters, right? So anything that is just positive and will send positive communication out there. Like I can play a dark type character, a mean type character. However, I want to make sure the storyline, though, gives the ultimate communication of something beautiful, though, right? So if there is something about like drugs, as an example, in the storyline, I want to make sure that it doesn't encourage people to take them, right? I want it to encourage them not to take it, So I don't mind being a part of something that will get people not wanting to do that, and the negative things and stuff. Maybe bring people together more, on the humanitarian front. Any messages that are communicated to help bring people together, like Chicago as an example. That film, when that came out and I watched that instantaneously got me so excited. I actually was dancing in the halls afterwards. So anything that helps uplift, I feel I'll be a part of that. Like, definitely. Like, I give an example.
Didn't Nicole Kidman and Moulin Rouge, didn't she inspire you as well?
It was a little different. Chicago did that even more for me, honestly, because I think Chicago, there was a lot more to Moulin Rouge. There was a lot more elements to it, I feel. Chicago was a little more streamlined, of little less characters, right? I feel Moulin Rouge, there was a lot more like flair and things like this, right, in the film. So, so for me personally, I like Chicago more, but, to each their own. Everybody has their favorites, right? But I mean, of course, got to respect anybody doing like anything, along those lines, like films like that, right? So although I liked Chicago more, it doesn't mean that the other one, they didn't do so much to create that beautiful movie, right? And like, gotta give it to them for all the time that took, and like the dedication that it took to create that film, right? And yeah, so for me, I mean, that's the answer, I guess, so I'm I'm trying to be more specific, but I don't want to also limit myself on what I could play or what I would play, basically. So that's why I'm kind of communicating it that way. I feel I could play a lot of different characters, and as long as it feels right to me, and I feel that the overall story communicates along my purpose line, and on my integrity and all of that, then I'm all for it.
So it's like you're tempted that you can't say no, so you have to take everything that you're given. So every script and you're afraid to say no to it because they're thinking, well, Jessica always says no, so we'll give it over to somebody else, and she's the one that becomes famous. You know what I mean?
I won't be that person always saying no. Definitely not. I'm just saying though that just as long as it's along your personal like integrity, then you're good. Because there's most things that I probably would be a part of, right? It's just a couple or few things, right? That it says a lot basically about the storyline and what it's communicating on. It says a lot about who's over that story, right? Who's the director, who's the producer, who's the writer, all of these things, right? So if you read the story and you get that, the impression in your mind that this is not good, there's too much negativity in here, whatever, you have to trust that. That's all, right? It has to indicate to you where a light bulb goes off like, ooh, this is my project, right? At least to a certain degree. So on that note, I would recommend though, when a person's reading a script, that they make sure they're well fed though at the time and also well rested. You don't want to be reading it when you're not, because I've had the issue in the past where I wasn't well fed or well rested one time when I watched a film years ago, right? In the theater too. And I prejudged it. I thought, the film was okay. It was mediocre, right? Then I watched it. Something was telling me watch it again, right? When I was actually well fed and well rested, I watched it again. I was like, why did I think it was mediocre before? Because I was hungry when I was watching it the first time. So I had all this attention on things that I shouldn't have had attention on.
I totally agree with you. I know exactly what you're saying. If you don't enjoy something, then why do it, So you got to, like, you want to be a famous actress, you got to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, a huge reason why a person enjoys what they do, though, is because they know themselves that they feel competent at doing that thing. Like where it goes wrong is that sometimes you don't give something enough chance where you could have become competent in that area. Then you would have enjoyed it, right? Because clearly, say as an example, when you're a kid too, playing video games as an example, right? I thought about this a long time ago. Those games that you preferred playing is because you were better at them. You felt competent, right? You felt that you knew what you were doing. But with video games you didn't like as much, or were harder to be better at, right? So of course you didn't like it. You didn't feel you were competent, right? So it's all about just breaking down, like, what do I not understand here? Are there some words maybe I don't understand about this book I'm reading or thing that I'm doing? This video game I'm playing or this instrument, are there words here? Maybe I'm lacking some visual here. I need some visual to help me understand this better, right? There's a lot that you can take a look at and break down to possibly help you further that competence, right? Like as kids, as an example, we play with blocks to get visual. We play with things, we draw, this and that, right? We get visual while we're learning, right? We read things and we're also doing the visual too. Kids tend to, they learn better that way, where you have that balance, right? Of like, you're reading something and you're also getting the visual. But when you get into junior high school, college, a lot of it is just a lot of wording, a lot of words, and you're encouraged just to memorize, but it's like, no, you shouldn't be memorizing things. You need to like break it down. Like even with the script too, you have to break it down, make sure you understand what you're reading. Like if there's a word in there you don't understand, look it up. Don't be like trying to memorize. You need to understand what you're reading so you can bring the character there more, right? And make sure you have the right definition too, because it's so often there can be multiple definitions. So get the right one, understand the right one, and get visual too. Do what you like, storyboards. Can you imagine if, like, with regards to films, they didn't do any storyboards ever and draw it out and stuff ahead of time? How much more confusion would there be for a film, and how much longer would it take for them to create the film, right? If they never did the storyboard, right? Like it would take a lot longer, especially with those huge films like Avatar and things like this. Can you imagine? Like, my goodness gracious, it would take so much longer. They just quit, forget this. Let's not do this. You need the balance, the visual with what you're reading and stuff too. But yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what are you working on now?
Right now, I'm working on collaborating with a lot of non-union guys, because since I'm non-union right now, it's actually perfect timing for me to work on some things, right? Because I know there's the strike stuff happening, right? You know, the unions, or talk of like other unions going to be striking and things like this, right? Like I posted something recently on, on social media, wanting to get artists together as an example, right? And there was somebody that commented back saying SAG strike, and I was like, so I commented back saying, well, I'm working on getting non-union guys together so we can work on some things, so we can prepare, right? Because think about it, what's better, for the non-union guys to wait around right now and twiddle their thumbs and do nothing, or is it better for them right now to work on building up their real content, have more footage, have more on their resume, get an agent, things like this, right? Is it better for them to continue moving forward, or just twiddle their thumbs and wait for it to be over? No, because when the strike stuff's over, then they'll be extra prepared now, right? And now now all of a sudden they're going to be in SAG, right? Maybe because of all the efforts they're doing right now. So basically I'm doing my part to encourage non-union guys to get going on projects, right? Because I feel, again, that's my duty. It's not just about me enhancing myself artistically and getting all the way up there as A-lister actress in the future, a famous actress and all of that. I want to bring others up too, right? So I'm doing that. And with my supplement brand, I'm going to be doing my own commercials and things like this too. So I'm getting actors, actresses for that, and cinematographers for that and stuff. Figure, I'm like, why not? So on the other business side of things with my other company, I'm geared toward putting, the focus is putting events on to help artists, right? I'm looking for, more seasoned people in the industry to speak at these events so they can help those who aren't as seasoned and kind of give them more direction and stability, give them true data on like, how did they get up to where they're at? What did they have to do, right? How much effort does it really take to get to where they're at, right? Just giving them more stable information so they can, just get there faster, basically, and my whole goal is to make sure that they don't veer off their path, right? So whatever I can do to help on that. So I am working on these things right now, and also producing my own stuff, commercial projects, TV, film. I'm going to be collaborating with other artists and other production companies to get things going. So I'm excited about that. But things first, I'm going to be doing the commercial project, for my supplement brand. So.
That's amazing. Wow. So I don't think you have any problem becoming a great professional actress and becoming a millionaire selling your supplements. No problem with that. Don't let people stop you,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's about helping people, right? It's like, how many people can I help out there, right? And ultimately, I think if you focused on helping a lot more people and doing your creating consistent creating, then eventually it will come, right? So I appreciate that, though. Yeah, your positive wishes there for me. Yeah, I mean, the more monetary gain, in truth, that's going to go toward a lot of good out there in the world, anyways, right? I'm not going to be using it for. I'm not going to be using it for like, now I have millions, so I'm just only going to use it on like getting all these nice things, cars and whatever, right? All this nice jewelry. No, I mean, these nice things it's great and everything, but it's like, what do you want to be? Don't you want your name known for something more than just things? You know what I mean? Don't you want to be known for like the big impact you created for people, how many people you've helped across the world? I feel that has a lot more value, right? Like as an example, what I want to do with my supplement brand, health, fitness, world of things, because it's not just with selling supplements. It also ties with wanting to get people connected to personal trainers, fitness coaches, also the right nutrition practitioners, because I've been helped in that area. So I want to educate people and help them in that area, because there's a lot of false information in the area of nutrition, right? And a lot of people don't realize that every body is different. So what works for you may not work for another, right? So how can everybody be on the same nutrition plan? You can't. Like, not everybody can have grains. Some people can, not everybody, right? Maybe later they can be on it, but maybe right now and presently they can't, right? So yeah, for me, I'm just focused on like wanting to help a lot of people. And so the more I do, the more success I have in my businesses, right? The faster I get it off the ground on everything that I want to do, the creativity there, the more I'll be able to help basically and give back, right? Be able to go around the world, like I said, to help, on the humanitarian front, be able to contribute to because the huge thing I want to do on the donations front is I do want to donate on helping encourage children and adults to be drug-free marshals, right? I want to help, encourage people to just stay away from drugs and, get educational materials about drugs, and educate them on the harmful effects of it. I want to get tons, massive distribution all over the world, right? And obviously that requires money to do the massive distribution, right? And then there's also, I want to help with illiteracy. A lot of people might think that illiteracy only means that you can't read and write, or you have trouble in the area of reading and writing, right? But that's not the case. If you look up what illiteracy means, right, there's another definition that's not really taught to people, right? It's where you're just basically lacking knowledge in an area. You're not an expert in an area, a specific area of life, right? You're ignorant in a specific area of life. So isn't everybody technically then on planet Earth is illiterate if you look at that definition, right? That definition says we just don't know everything about a specific subject. Nobody knows everything, nobody, right? There's always more to learn. So then in an area that you're not expert at, then you're illiterate in that area, right? There's always more to learn. When I found out about that definition, I was like, oh my gosh, that made me go more full force with my acting career, right? It really did encourage me, funny enough, and to actually come back to Los Angeles. I was like, I need to go full force with this career, right? It's because I was confronting there's more for me to learn. There's more for me to understand about this craft and, and just about me as an individual too. And I was like, I don't want to be illiterate in an area. So it kind of motivated me to learn more in general about things, about life, about other people, right? So, and I want to share wisdom. I want other people to also do the same and help people with the illiteracy, things that they don't have strengths in. I think if we all came together all around this world, can you imagine what effects that would create for the better? If we all as a team helped each other with their weak points and helped them now become literate in those areas where now they know enough about that. If we all just band together, right? As artists, as an example too, okay, great. This person was really strong in the area of piano, is an expert on the piano, but then while this other person's not, them banding together and then helping now that person become expert, right? If artists didn't have to worry about the everyday living and, money wasn't an issue, how much more would we be able to create out in the world for the better, right? I think money is a massive distraction for a lot of artists, and it holds them back from being able to create, what helped me is I did do work nonstop, 70-hour weeks one time for a full month straight just to save up money, right? And by having that cushion, it helped me then to be able to just concentrate full force on launching my business stuff and also, getting myself out there more artistically, right? And then guess what happened? I wound up this past February, right? I wound up at the Producers Guild of America event, the live event. I was at that event, and that's a privilege, because that's where a lot of the elite in the industry were, right?
Wow.
And I was just I'm with my people. It just made me, I just had that realization. I'm with my people. It granted me that importance of, wow, I'm doing something right here. I need to stick on this path. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been at that event, right? Obviously, I was in the right direction, right? And I use that as motivation of what else now do I need to do to stay on that path? But I know that if I didn't do that, go full force and save up and then concentrate just on my art and that's it, and not work 9 to 5, 40, 50-hour weeks, doing something other than my art, right? I knew by me doing that majorly helped me, because, a lot of times there's this hamster wheel that I see artists in, right? Where they're consistently trying to make it in the arts, but then while they're doing 40, 50 hours of other things other than their art, right? And society, certain society pressures, cramming down their throat, do anything but your art. But no, you have to do the opposite. Disagree with that. yes, I know you're being pushed the message consistently. Don't create with your art, like in an indirect way and a direct way. You're being encouraged not to create, right? On a lot of fronts. But you have to just disagree. I don't know. It's a choice. It really comes down to a decision that you have to make as an artist, as an individual. Am I doing right by me? If you're not happy, something's off. Just take a look at that. If you really are struggling and not happy in life, you need to take a look at, what am I not doing that's, that I should be doing, right? Clearly, if you're on your path, you would be happier. That's a huge indication that you're on the right path. If you're, you just like, you feel more fulfilled. That's basically what I'm trying to say. That's an indication. So
definitely. And eventually you're going to find yourself meeting more elite and maybe more celebrities and become friends with the big names. And so you never know what tomorrow will bring.
Right.
Jessica Eve Scozzola, everyone. Before we end the stream, what do you want your audience who are watching this now, what do you want them to take away from this conversation?
Good question. I mean, I feel I said a lot already, right? That I wanted, people watching this to take away. Just making sure that I don't get disconnected because my battery's low.
Good timing.
Yeah. But just in case, plugging it in. Hold on one second. There we go. Just stay true to you. So if you are feeling like you're struggling too much, you're having too many ups and downs or something, and you're like not feeling very happy. I mean, first take an honest look. Do you feel that you are really happy, or are you not happy, right? And so if you don't feel happy, right, what do you need to change? You obviously need to change something, right? Because everybody deserves to be happy. If you're a good-hearted person, you deserve to be happy, right? That's just the simplicity. So if you don't feel that you're really happy and you're pretending to be happy, because there are people out there that do pretend that they're happy when they're not, right? Stop pretending. Just sort something out. What do you need to fix here, right? You clearly need to change something. Are you hanging out with the wrong people? Take a look at who's in your life, right? If there are bad influences around you that secretly are trying to backstab you or secretly trying to bring you down, you're not going to be as happy because they are trying to destroy your goodness in you, right? With little barbs or whatever, trying to stab you a little bit, you know what I mean? With discouraging comments or whatever, right? I mean, do you surround yourself with people where you feel that much more encouraged and that much more happy, right? You should feel better around the right people. You should feel more enhanced as an individual, right? It should encourage you to keep on your path if you're around the right people. And so yeah, just make sure you're good on that, right? And list out kind of your goals and purposes in life. What do you really want to achieve? Were there things in the past you gave up on that you shouldn't have given up on, right? Sometimes things you do give up on that legitimately just was not on your path, so that's fine. But if it was a part of who you really are and you gave up on it, then that's a piece of you won't get back unless you get back on that path, right? Like you don't have a part of you missing forever, right? Meaning like there are reasons why you're around. There's a reason why you're here. You have the capability, way more than you may know, on how much you can affect people for the better out there. You're very important, and don't let anybody or anything ever think that you're not, right? Mm-hmm. And like the sign in the back, be your own kind of beautiful. Like you're your unique self, right? And you deserve to be able to communicate your unique self. If you're not doing anything wrong with your communication, and you're spreading love, and you're just trying to make the world a better place, right? Then you have it as your duty to communicate more and get that out there more, right? I just say naysayers, negative people, like whatever, they're the ones that need to be quiet. you know,
True.
but those that are spreading love and wanting to make this world a better place need to communicate more, right? So don't let negative people in your life that will try to squash you and bring you down, right? And just, I think that, being your own business woman or businessman is pretty smart, because then you have the avenue of, multiple sources of income. Don't just rely on one, right? But tie it in with your belief structure, though. Tie it in with your purposes, your goals, right? Like for me, with the supplement brand and the health and wellness brand, I believe in spreading the message of take better care of yourself with, supplements, also exercise, right? And good nutrition. So I want to, I believe in that a lot. So of course it makes sense for me to have that business, right? And then I've been helped in that area too. So, artistically too, you don't want to be distracted on the body, right? If you're distracted on your body, say it's not as healthy or something, that's going to prevent you from being able to create artistically, right? When you're the most healthy you are mentally, spiritually, and body-wise, then you can create that much more artistically. That's the way it goes, right? So it's a continual growth, continual learning process in life, and when you stop learning, that's the degree you're going to just stop creating, more good effects out there, right? So, and on the other business with helping artists and creating commercials and things like that, right? Of course, that aligns with my purposes, right? I was like, this is awesome. I'm creating this business where I'm going to help artists. I'll consistently be meeting more artists too by putting on these events, right? And where we can all do projects together. It presents an easy solution to just keep building us up, right? Artistically. I think if all artists had their own business, getting events going in big cities, that would create some massive big effects, really. I would encourage artists to do that, honestly, because then they're right there. They can meet a whole bunch of artists at this event that they put on, right? Which will only enhance their career. So it's like when you're in your little bubble and you don't get out there enough, that's what's going to create a problem for you. You have to communicate, get yourself out there, right?
Really thrilled that you were able to meet with me on the podcast, and really thrilled for the interview and learned a lot. So we will end the stream. Thanks everyone for watching. We're going to end the stream right now, and Jessica Scozzola and Chris Robert out.